Hello everyone, I'm Cindy with Elevated Designs and we're going to start something new today. So what we're going to work on is a spring insert for my interchangeable standing sign. So one of the elements is going to be this birdhouse. And what I'm going to do is the method where you take a wet wipe and you apply paint on that way. And I think the color I'm going to be using today is a color called Honey Brown. So I kind of want to be careful because there are a roof line that you are going to glue to this. But this area right here needs painted. I definitely am going to paint the roof a different color. So I'm going to try and be as careful as I can. If I get over the area, well, I'll just have to paint it. So I just like to use a wet wipe and apply paint on. I'm definitely getting in the areas, but it's kind of hard not to. And I will go out and dig my score lines out, but I just kind of want this not a solid color. I want that grain to show through. And then I created little score marks to kind of show wood. Kind of give the illusion that this house is made out of wood. I know I want it a little bit darker, but not too much more than this. And if you get too much on there, all you have to do is just take a clean area of your wet wipe and just kind of wipe off. And something I will do is lightly sand. But I definitely want that wood grain showing through. That's one thing I like. I use all Baltic birch instead of the MDF. Because when you use this type of technique, you can actually see the wood grain. And I like that. And I'm just going to lightly sand it, and if I have to apply more on there, I will. But like I said, I just kind of want it a little bit weathered. I don't want it to be too dark. I'll do just a little bit more. And then I'm going to sand it again and call it good. And you gotta kind of let that dry because it is wet. One last time for the score lines. Now I know I want the roof to be a little bit darker. And we have a little bird that we're going to be painting and gluing on. And I think I want to do, since this is spring, I want to do a bluebird. We have a bunch of different elements for this birdhouse. But see, this is going to glue on here. And so therefore, I'm going to make this a little bit darker. I might just do a solid coat of honey brown. That might be a good choice. And I think I'm going to make this little wooden piece a little bit darker. So I think I'll use the cocoa and even apply that with a wet wipe and see how that looks, if there's much of a difference between the two. If not, I will have to. I kind of wanted it lighter, but we'll see. Oh, that's too much paint. I don't think there's going to be much of a variation. A little bit, but not all that. So I was uncertain about the colors I wanted. So we'll try some camel. And I don't know if it'll make much of a difference seeing that I already put this color on. And I'll let this dry and I'll sand it a little bit. But that's going to make a little bit of a difference. Just a little. Not much. redid my sticky board, so I have to be careful, or I will be breaking my pieces. I'm gonna use my little cheater so I can see where to paint my roof. And since I have this honey brown out, I'm gonna just go ahead and paint this a solid. And we'll be shading under this anyways, but if you happen to follow my last series, oh my goodness, that truck insert turned out adorable. I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. If you like gnomes and you like the beach, that truck insert is for you. And I'm going to use milk chocolate for the roof. Because like I said, I do want it a little bit darker than the house. And I'm kind of just watering down the paint a little bit. So that's what we're kind of looking at. And I actually think I'm going to shade. Try and get a small line there. And I'm going to shade with that cocoa. I mean, not cocoa, the milk chocolate. Definitely need to go over that again. And it's a warm one up here today. I think I'm going to struggle with the floating. It's going to be a struggle for real day. I need to get that down further. Well, it might be a little bit too dark. I actually should have started with highlighting, and I normally do. But I didn't do that this time around. And I'm gonna highlight, I think, the outside edge. With a little camel. That's what I'm gonna highlight with. It actually recommends marigold, but I kind of don't like that color combination. So I'm gonna try the camel. And I should have highlighted first, but I'm gonna go back over with my shading. I always like to highlight first, especially if I know I'm going to be shading in the same area, because I like too much water. I like my shading to go over my highlighting. But that's just how I like to do it. I'm about out of water and paint. And how you can tell is my bristles are splitting. That is a sure sign that you need a little something. Now see, I need to go back over and shade, because then you got that highlighting right there over top of that. And personally, and this is just my opinion, it looks out of place. So while that's drying, I'm going to just try and dry brush a little buttermilk. And I'm just going to use a cruddy brush of highlighting. On this. I'm kind of just basically rubbing on the outer edge. Then I got a little bit too much. I want just a little bit more highlighting. And I think I'll even throw a little bit of cocoa on the bottom of these pieces. Just to introduce another color and to darken it up a little bit. It's pretty minimal. And you can't really see it that well in the camera, but you can see it in person. And you find that I use my finger a lot to blend. It's an excellent blending tool. And I think what I should do is water down some milk chocolate. For this area right here. And that's just going to cast that shadow. And my water is not good. try a bigger brush just because I want a wider float. I'm just not getting what I want with that brush. I really, really want to cast a shadow and not really a solid line. I'm going to do the same for the bottom. And I know I want this little part of the circle to be the milk chocolate as well. And then I'm going to paint the inside black. And I might go and highlight that. We'll see. So let's see where we're at. I need to do that one side and we're good. I need to paint that little stand. And I am going to do a little highlighting and shading on this roof as well, just to try and create, see if I can make it look like it has layers. I should have dug those out sooner. I'm just gonna try and do, see if I can do just a little highlighting with sable brown right underneath that one area, just to lighten it up. And I'll need to go back over that. But I'm going to use the burnt umber. I might even do that for the middle of the that little hole instead of doing black. But I'm going to just try and float oh so gently underneath these lines. That's my goal. I don't know if it's going to work out. I'm just using a small brush. And after that dries, I'll go back and highlight. But I kind of just want to create like a little bit of a shadow and see if I can create an illusion of layers. I actually thought about making the roof a separate piece that you glue on, but then I thought that's just going to be too many layers. And I'm kind of just going down the middle. I'm not going all the way out to the edge. You shouldn't do this with your brush. I did it early. And I'm just using the burnt umber to do this hole. I think if I would use black, it might stick out like more than what I would want. And I'll darken it up, make it more solid. And I've never painted a birdhouse until today. And I'm just putting the milk chocolate on this little perch because that's gonna be glued right there. Hello. Now you could do a little bit of shading on this, and I think I might, just to hopefully give it a little bit of illusion. That it's an opening. And I think that color is actually asphaltum. But I didn't allow that to dry good enough, and so therefore it's pulled off the paint. And I'm going to try and get a little bit more milk chocolate. And I'll highlight this. And I know before I go any further, trying to paint the bird. Because I'm going to be using all light colors, I will need to change my water. But see what I'm trying to do? This is actually just, it's a flat piece of wood. I'm trying to create the illusion that this is kind of 3D with the highlighting and the shading. That's my goal. Doesn't mean it's always going to work out that way, but that is my goal. And I think before I keep fussing with that center, I'm going to do some highlighting on that little circle. So let's see here what we've got. I think I need more shading, especially in that one area. I just really want that shadow to cast down. I'm just taking some watered down honey brown and kind of darkening it up in areas. It's kind of just giving an illusion of a weathered look. And I'm hoping I can create a very thin line. I don't think I'm too fond of this color for highlighting. I don't like that color for highlighting for the milk chocolate. I don't know what a good color would be, but that's just not cutting it. So let me see if the honey brown. I like that a little bit better. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use that and go back on my roof. That's their recommendation, and I usually follow their recommendations, but there's times that I don't care for their recommendations. It's probably 85% of the time I follow it to a T, but every now and again I will stray, and I'm straying on that. All right, let me see if I can get this a little bit more solid. And then I'm gonna attempt to shade and highlight that. Hello. Now the highlighting color is actually milk chocolate, which is that color. And I don't think that's a good choice, so I'm going to, why not, try the honey brown. And we'll see how it goes. I'm just going to kind of blend it really good. Try it again. I want a little bit more than that. Well, that's a little bit more than what I may have bargained for, but all right. This asphaltum is not much darker. It's a little bit, but not much. I might have to think about some soft black. Because you can barely see that. I'll hit it again, but... Now the colors they choose for highlighting and shading, usually 9 times out of 10, is very mild colors, very a minimum difference. But every now and again you do need something a little bit more defined. And I am going to do soft black because it's just not dark enough for me. I want it just to be a little bit more bolder. And there's not much of a difference between the soft black and asphaltum. And I'm covering up that white, this line. Just to calm it down a little bit. And I think this just needs darkened up a little bit here. Just trying to create that illusion of layers. And I'm going to hit that black one more time and then I'm done with this. And I'm going to empty my water and we'll get started on the bird. Hello. I mean, you can spend a lot of time in detail work, and I do. Because I just think it makes a difference, just my opinion. I mean, if I'm at a craft show, I can see who spent more time painting their project than people that just slap the paint on. And I gravitate and will give my money to the people that I know spent more time. And what they've done. All right, let's see where we're at. All right, so that's kind of where we're at. I need to darken up this one side a little bit. And then I'm going to empty my water. So that's kind of where we're at. We have this cute little bird to paint and put on. And the birdhouse will be done. And what we have for elements as far as this design goes is we have rain boots with an umbrella, a bumblebee, a watering can, and that's it. So with that being said, I'm going to empty my water and I will be back shortly. Hopefully you stick around. Okay. Let's get this bird painted. I know I wanted a pretty bright blue, so I think the color I'm going to choose is a color called Shoreline. Hopefully it'll be bright enough. I do want to try and avoid his beak, because I am not really worried about, because I am going to paint that black, but I'm going to do as much as I can with the sponge, and then I'll go back with the brush. And I'm an old school painter, so sometimes for me, it just, honestly, I think it's easier for me to paint with a brush than it is the sponge. I just started doing painting with a sponge probably, I don't know, about a year ago. I just feel that I have more control and I can get better coverage with a sponge. I mean, with a brush than I can the sponge. It's gonna be another one of those days I can't talk. Oh my. But I think that'll be a nice color against there. And I'll see if I can do a little highlighting and shading to try and do something with this bird. It's pretty small. And sometimes things are a little bit too small to actually do any type of detailed work. So I guess I'll do marigold for the beak. I mean, look how tiny this beak is. And then this actually glues on right here in the middle. So I want to try and do a little bit of shading, maybe a little dry brushing on this rounded part. I'm going to use a color called Spa Blue. I'm just kind of going around this curve just to lighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to go at the top of his head as well. Let's see if I can just get a little bit on the tips of these tail feathers. Maybe I'll even go a little bit around the belly here. And we'll try and do a little shading, but it's going to be tough. It's such a small area. I'm going to use a color called turquoise, and it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of variance between the two colors, to be honest with you. It's pretty minimal. And I think I'll shade the back of his tail, his wing. Like I said, you can't really see. It might dry darker, but it's pretty minimal. And then try and go right here. It's pretty minimal. And I'm going to try after that dries. seeing if I can take my stylus and just do a little dot. I wonder if there's another color I can use just to... Maybe I'll try the turquoise blue. It's a little bit brighter. And I'm going to go all the way around the bottom. I think I'm going to go around the bottom of its body. Just to add an extra color in there. It's not going to do anything. Let me see if I have a teeny tiny stylus that I can dot the eye. And when using a stylus and dotting eyes, you always want to make sure you have fresh paint. And part of me just wants to take some dark brown and just kind of shade. So while that's drying, I'm gonna glue this together. And we will move on. That's actually too much glue. And I'm just gonna put the glue on the bird. And there we are. Pretty springy. I like it. So we'll move on to this bumblebee. The color I'm going to use for the yellow part is I'm going to use marigold. And what I'm going to do, so I'm not wasting a whole lot of time, I know the stripe's going to be yellow and the stripe's going to be yellow. But instead of trying to paint these all separate, I'm just going to sponge and then go back over with black. Because the black should cover up this yellow pretty good. I'll spend more time painting the areas black by hand instead of trying to do it all by hand. I just think it would be easier and less time consuming. That's my take on it. And I'll use my sponge where I can, but get up close. With a brush. I'm going to put this on a sticky board just to hold it in place and make things a little bit easier for me. watched a lady paint a bumblebee, and she painted every stripe individually, and it took her forever. And I wanted so much to comment, you know, paint it all yellow first, then go back and do the black, but I thought that might be inappropriate, so I just didn't say anything at all. So maybe she'll see this video and see how I did it and think it might be a little bit easier and try that next time. And she's really a good painter. The only thing is she never finishes the product on camera. She does it off camera, and I kind of like, when I'm watching someone paint, I like to see what they're doing from start to finish. So I wish she would come back and, you know, continue where she left off. So I do. I like to see things done from start to finish. That would be my only critique. Otherwise, I really enjoy watching her paint. She's, she takes her time, and she doesn't slop paint on. I'm trying to get so close to this line. And it's a little difficult. Alright, let's get the wings painted. Now, this particular bee is going to have a heart on the back of it, on the back of the wings, just to add a little extra element to it. But this little heart just will go on the back of it. And like I said, it's just to add an extra element to it. But we'll paint these wings white. And then I think that'll be it for this session. I'm pretty undecided how I want to paint the squares, what color. I know I want color in this design. I want more pastels, which of course the bumblebee is far from that. I'm kind of not going to worry about getting a good coat of paint on these wings. I don't care if the wood's showing through, because I kind of wanted to, if I could get away with a whitewash and it would look okay, that's how I would do these wings, but you really can't. I'm gonna paint the heart a country red. That is one of my favorite red colors. I use it all the time. It's my go-to color. And it'll take a couple coats. And I'm going to shade under these wings with my sand gray. That's my favorite color to use for shading white. I used to use a color called antique white, but I just like the sand gray way better. And unfortunately, you cannot highlight white. But this shading color is very, very minimal. I might go back and hit it again, but that's kind of why I like it. They actually recommend slate gray, which is way darker, and to me, you might as well be shading with black. And I don't care for it. And I'm going to highlight with neon red the top of the heart, and then just shade the bottom with black plum. Just so the heart is not so boring. I think I'm going to take neutral gray while that's drying. And kind of just do the tips of his, I don't even know what they're called. And I might go back and do some lines and dots on them. I'll do it off camera though. I'm not into the whole Morse code of embellishing things. But sometimes you just, you know, gotta add something. I'm gonna use the black plum. Just to go around the bottom. And I'll have to hit that again because I really water this down and I blend my paint pretty good because it's a pretty dark color. Let's see exactly where this... Now you can put this wing wherever you would like. And I think probably right there is a good spot. Let's try and do the line. I'm just watering my paint down, twisting to my brush to a point, and that might actually be too far. It is a little bit. Do I want it down there or do I want it up top? And that's way too big. Too much paint. Way too much. So I'm going to do this off camera. I will draw a couple lines. Try that again. I'm going to cover this up and rethink about where I want to put that line and dot. So that's kind of where we're at. Which I kind of wonder if I had this backwards. I think I do. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. So I'm not going to take any chances. I'm going to just paint this. And something you can do is you can paint your piece like right up here at the edges. That way, if you don't get it lined up, and then like down here at the tip, if you don't get it lined up, no one's gonna know but you. So if I was to turn this over again, you can't tell. But I do think I'm going to shade around that heart just to add a little bit more color on these wings. And I usually use my cheater pencil. Hopefully you can see that. You can see it a little bit. Alright, let me go back and do the other side. But once I get this line established, then I can remove this heart and I can see exactly where my shading needs to go. That's just going to add more shadow. I might hit that again. Alright, let's see. Still kind of hard to see that shadow, so let me get a wider brush. Maybe I can make it a little bit wider. And as far as I'm concerned, this is good. We'll glue it, and the bead will be done, and that'll be it for this session. This is sticking pretty fast. Wow, okay, that doesn't want to stick. Interesting. let me see what I can do here. This paint is pretty well on its way dry. All right. Good enough. And I might fiddle around with that because, like I said, I don't do the whole Morse code thing. But this is where we're at. We got these two things done today. Something you can do too is if you wanted to dot the wings and whatever, and you can actually do it, you know, on this bird as well. Let me see if I can get like, I'm not going to do the whole dot, but let me just see if I can. But they're just adding those little bit of lines, the little something something. So, with that being said, I'm gonna get off of here, and it's early yet. I could very possibly come back on later today. I'm not exactly for sure. So, if I do, if you're following me on Facebook, you'll get a notification. If not, you know, please like and follow my page and get set up for notifications, and you'll know when I'm live again. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so, because all live videos from Facebook will be deleted after 90 days, unfortunately. So I've transferred everything over there to YouTube, and I have them separated by series, and I think it's pretty well organized. There's always a photo of the video, except for when I'm working on something. So this will just say photo coming soon. But once I get all the elements painted and get a photograph taken, then I will be updating those photos on YouTube. So, all right. Well, thank you very much to the people that come in and visited for a little bit. Greatly appreciate it. And until then, take care. Bye-bye.